Hey guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg, checking out the BLU Life One X. Now this is a phone making some waves as one of the better bargains in smartphones today. So for only $149, you get a vivid 5.2-inch 1080p display, 13 megapixel camera, 2 gigs of RAM with expandable storage, and a metal frame, so this phone isn't entirely hard plastic. But do all these specs make for a good phone? Let's check it out. Getting to the unboxing, the first thing we'll find is our plastic-wrapped 5.2-inch phone, with our specs highlighted on the protective label. Peeling that off, we'll find a surprisingly thin and lightweight phone with a grippy leatherette material on the back. We also have a metal frame along the sides and Corning Gorilla Glass 3 on the front with rounded edges, which resembles many high-end smartphones today. Overall, the phone is very thin and light and feels a lot like a larger iPhone 6s with a skin on the back. Inside the box, we'll find something we don't typically see in this price range, a full line of included accessories. That includes a set of screen protectors, in-ear headphones with an inline remote control and microphone, a micro USB charging cable, and a standard USB wall adapter, so no fast charging capabilities are on tap here. We'll also find a leather flip case that provides full protection to the phone. Now to install this, you remove the back panel of the phone and snap the case on. The case works a lot like the SU cases from Samsung, which wakes up and puts the display to sleep when opened or closed, and can be folded behind the phone in use. The preview window gives you quick access to things like music controls and your clock. The display on the phone is really quite stunning for this price. It's a 1080p 5.2-inch LCD IPS display with 424 pixels per inch. It's very bright with vivid colors and even backlighting with minimal off-axis distortion. This is a display that would look at home on other higher-end smartphones. Above the display, we'll find our earpiece flanked by an LED notification light, our ambient light sensor and proximity sensor, as well as a 5 megapixel front-facing camera and LED flash. You can activate the flashlight mode for the front-facing camera as well, which is handy, and the LED flash definitely is effective in producing very clear and bright images when used. In the corner, we have a 13 megapixel camera on the back, good for 1080p HD video with an LED flash, no optical image stabilization here. We also have a rear-facing loudspeaker, which is nothing outstanding, but does sound loud and clear with no distortion. Popping off the back panel, we'll find a sealed-in 2900 mAh battery. This does give us access to our 2 SIM slots and micro SD card slot, which supports 64 gig cards. Internally, the phone does come standard with 16 gigs. Along the right side, we'll find our power and volume controls, with the power button positioned below the volume rocker. The buttons themselves provide good tactile feedback and are easy to operate. You can tell them apart thanks to the recession between the buttons. On the bottom, we'll find one of the microphones and an off-center micro USB charging port. And lastly, on the top, we have our headphone jack. The phone is powered by a MediaTek MT6753 octa-core CPU clocked at 1.3 GHz. That's coupled with a Mali T720 GPU. So in terms of our Geekbench scores, that delivers 618 on the single-core score and almost 2700 on the multi-core score, which is well ahead of a phone like the Moto G, with a 1,000-point difference between the multi-core scores. Overall performance of this phone is excellent, with 2 gigs of RAM to work with and a clean stock OS that feels smooth and responsive. Next up, let's walk through the interface here. So this is Android 5.1, and it is pretty close to stock here. So we have our lock screen with our quick access to our phone dialer and our camera app. You can also see your notifications, which you can expand out, and you can swipe to unlock it. Takes you to your home screen. As you can see, it's very quick here. Swipe up to get to Google Now, so pretty familiar interface, and we can swipe down to get to our quick setting toggles and our notifications down below. You can see we have our brightness slider and all of our standard controls, in addition to our audio profiles. So you can see we have general, silent, meeting mode, and outdoor for increasing the loudness of the speaker. We also have power saving mode that we can quickly toggle on and off. Now this is a GSM phone that works with LTE carriers like AT&T. In fact, all I had to do was install the SIM and it automatically installed the profile for me, so it was really easy. You can see how much data I'm using. And then we also have our recent apps launcher, which again is also close to stock Android, but they have added this clear all button to close them all if you want. Now in terms of the app selection, you can see they've gone with the Opera browser here by default. Of course, you can go with Chrome if you want. Going to the app drawer here, we have some Amazon apps pre-installed in addition to a support app for BLU, which basically takes you to their website. And of course, we have all the standard Android 5.1 Google apps. We do get a file manager for directly accessing our file tree here. So you can see the phone storage and you can see the entire file tree. So if you want to jump right to your camera folder, you can. We also have an FM radio. You do need to connect a set of headphones to act as your antenna, and you can go ahead and tune to the station you want. We also have a music app, so you can sideload your music on your device directly and access it from this app. And we also get a videos app so you can directly access your files. Now the thing that strikes me is just how quickly this entire operating system is, and that's thanks to Android 5.1, which is really quick and smooth. So getting to the settings panel is fairly close to stock Android here, so we have a few features to take a look at here. Under display, we have something called mirror vision, which calibrates the display for increased performance, and you can go ahead and customize that if you want. Under sounds and notifications, again, we have access to the same features we have access to right here. So again, if you take a look at them, they're basically the same. General, so you can go to general and configure this. So media, alarm volume. So this is kind of the classic setup for managing your individual volume settings. Or you can set these different modes like silent, meeting mode, outdoor mode, and this will explain exactly what these do. We have storage here. So you can see out of 16 gigs, I've already used a little less than half of it. Under battery, we have something called standby intelligent power saving mode, which is different from the standard power saving mode up here. Next up under system, we have smart awake. So these are features you can turn off if you don't want them, but basically these are actions we can perform when the screen is locked. Now we have one feature here called lock here, which allows us to double tap the home button to lock the device. We can double tap again to wake it up and unlock. So we have music player, camera, and flashlight. So if we draw an M on the lock screen, we can launch the music player, C for the camera, and 0 for the flashlight. So let's try that out. So we have M for the music player. So again, that launches right to the music player. We have C for camera. So this should launch directly into the camera, and there I am. And then we have 0 for the LED flashlight. And if you want to turn these off, just draw them again. We also have smart gesture, so we've double-clicked to lock screen, pocket mode, so this will use the ambient light sensor to keep the display off when your phone is ringing or sending notifications, which is handy, saves some power. You can also unlock using the power button, which I don't want to do here. So if I unlock with the power button, this takes me right to where I last left off, or to the home screen. You can flip to silence the call or flip to snooze, and you can learn about these motions here as well. We can also schedule power on and off, so if you want your phone to automatically turn off at night, you can set that up. Now getting to the camera app here, it is fairly full-featured. Of course, we can pinch in and out to zoom, tap anywhere on the scene to adjust exposure and focus, snap your photograph, tap and hold to take a burst shot. And then we have our video cameras, so we can start recording our video as well. And we do have continuous autofocusing, and you can pinch in and out while recording video. Of course, you can also snap a photograph while recording, or pause it, or just stop it. Of course, we have lots of settings. So we have touch shutter, so when you touch the screen, it takes the photograph, smile shot. You can turn off the shutter sound, GPS location, self timer, picture grid, so if you are picture guide. So if you want to turn on one of the picture guides, you can do that. And as you can see, it brings up these little drop downs so you don't leave the menu, which is kind of nice. We have picture size, so we have several to pick from. 13 megapixels for 4:3 or 10 megapixels for 16:9 widescreen, so it's cropped. We also have our video quality, which only goes up to 1080p. You also have 720p and 480p, I think. Yep. And you can also just restore everything to default. Of course, we also have our LED flash, which includes a flashlight mode, which is handy. And then you can also set this to different modes. So we have panorama, night mode, professional, HDR, dual view. So this will shoot both the front-facing and rear-facing camera. Normal mode, face, beauty, and sports. So in professional mode, we have a huge variety of manual controls here, such as ISO, white balance. This looks like sharpness as well as exposure levels, and then we also have color saturation. What's up guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg, testing out the front-facing camera of the BLU Life One, which is actually quite good. You can see it does a really good job balancing out the exposure, so you can see my face in addition to the bright overblown background here. Pretty good. 5 megapixels gets the job done here at 1080p. As for the camera quality, it's about what you expect at this price point. The camera is able to take clear images in daylight conditions, but the AF has a hard time prioritizing the foreground subject and can be a little slow. Exposure is good with a tendency to overexpose highlights in order to bring up shadows. Color accuracy is also pretty good here, if a little on the cool and undersaturated side of the spectrum. The camera does struggle in low light conditions with images lacking detail or sharpness. The camera tends to hold the shutter open a little too long, so images exhibit some slight motion blur. However, using the LED flash in some situations really helps to sharpen things up. Video quality is also very sharp in daylight conditions with a nice bright exposure, so you can see a lot of detail. But there is no form of stabilization, so handheld video is pretty shaky. We do have continuous autofocusing here, which is relatively unobtrusive since we don't really have a shallow depth of field to work with anyway. Ultimately, this is an easy camera to work with, but don't expect any miracles. This really doesn't challenge high-end smartphones. Ultimately, the BLU Life One X is a standout in the world of bargain smartphones with a design that is comfortable and lightweight, but doesn't feel as cheap as its price. We also get an excellent large display display that looks good for any smartphone. The software experience is also clean and quick, and battery life is excellent at over 5 hours of on-screen time at maximum brightness. The speaker quality could be a bit better, and the rear camera can be hit or miss, but for the price, this phone is an excellent option for those on a budget. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up to let me know, and I'll see you again in the next video.